So in 2012, the Taiwanese government aired a commercial about economy power-up plan. So essentially, the commercial was saying that economy affairs are very complicated. You, or we, the citizen, don't need to know the details. They will take care of it, and we should just mind our own business and then do whatever they think is appropriate. I was kind of disturbed by this idea of being like, well, you don't need to know that. So what I feel is that tax money is burning like for free, and then like, oh. So I felt really angry. So I really wanted to do something about this. So as you probably know, I write software. I really like writing software. So even when I broke my spine, I have to be hospitalized for 3 weeks lying flat. I still like writing software. Anyway, that's my Twitter, you can follow me. And so being like a software developer, what I wanted to do is that, okay, the government is spending money in some way that we didn't understand. How about let's take a closer look at it? So a couple of friends and I tried to look at how the government budget is spent. So of course, the government released the budget in a PDF file. Looks like that. So with some programming, we turn that into bubbles. So this is the budget visualization. Each of the bubble represents an entry of a budget. And you can group that by sectors or the ministry that's responsible for it. And also, when you hover over the bubbles, you can see the history of individual entries. That's more easily to understand, right? So the idea of the GOV.0 movement is that we know the government website in Taiwan is called GOV.TW. What if we just replaced one letter, the O, to 0? It suddenly becomes a better and easier to use website. So it also stands for the idea that from the digital natives like me and many of you who are rethinking how the government should work in this digital age from 0. So what we do is that we start hackathons. Hackathons is a kind of event that is essentially hack marathon. So hack is not like breaking into someone else's computer. It's like creating things or magically making things happen. It's called hacking. So it's like a one-day-long food consuming or, working session. So because the kind of problem that we want to visualize, things like the budget and other things, is very complicated. We need a lot of people to help. So how do you get lots of people to help on a project? You buy them food. Lots of food. So a typical hackathon is like that. We have about 100 people in the room. In the morning, there's no agenda. So people come with their own projects. They tell other people what they have been doing, what kind of help they want from others. And then they start talking to each other and see if they can have a group together in one day. So in the afternoon, people hack and eat and create software. What's amazing is that usually in the afternoon, we start having working prototypes. People come off stage and presenting them to others. So just in one day, we can build something that's useful and can be improved later on. So the way that you get lots of people, like hundreds of people, to work together effectively is kind of weird and then hard to manage, right? But luckily, we have the idea of open source that's been helping how the community work. So the central idea of open source is that when you release your software, you release in source form, which means that people can look at how it worked, and then they can modify it, and then improve it, and release it again. So I've been an open source developer for about 15 years. Most of the time I spend, is writing software. Pretty much all the time when I was not sleeping. So most of the software I wrote is released to the public for anyone to use. And the open source idea comes up from a simple idea that the engineer who solved a problem, they want to share the solution to others. So people don't have to solve the same problem again. Instead, they can build the solution on together into solving bigger problems. So this soon become like a massive community because people can improve each other's work and then create more useful tools. So recently, I contributed to an open source project released by Google. The project has about 20,000 people watching it, and it has about 600 contributors. It is really hard to imagine that a piece of software by any commercial company can be written by so many people, but it is very common in open source projects. But what's more interesting is that at this given moment of time, there are 250 different versions of this software that is made by other people being submitted to the maintainer of the project. So each of these different versions, or we call branch, is either a bug fix or a new feature. So you can see this massive concurrent collaboration and development of software being, in this model, being very effective. So for those of you not very familiar with software development, imagine, I assume you use Google Doc or something similar online document tools. Imagine you have a Google Doc and a lot of people can edit at the same time. So you see lots of different colors of cursors down there. And what's different from that is software development is a bit more complicated. So we allow people to make their own version of it. And then later we decide how they are merged together into a new canonical version. So this is kind of like a effective way of working. And this soon turns like a hobby of software developers into a whole ecosystem. By ecosystem, I mean there are successful commercial usage or business built upon of the whole system. For example, any of you not using Android or iPhone? Probably all of you. So you are the user of open source technologies. Imagine this being a closed system, like when you sometimes see ATM crashing in the blue screen. It's not very nice. So this is like the powerful idea of collaboration without central coordination. So things can happen simultaneously and very efficiently. So this seemingly chaotic way of working together soon inspire a smart guy saying, hey, can we not use this model and put all the human knowledge together in a place for anyone to access for free? Yes, Wikipedia. So most of us know Wikipedia from that because it's like a wiki everyone can edit, right? But more importantly is that the content on Wikipedia is openly licensed and everyone can reuse it. And that's the reason why people are willing to contribute quality content to it. So by using it, I mean things like you can build different ways of viewing the Wikipedia articles. Most of you probably know this morale and national education thing in Hong Kong, right? But this is really well-written article on Wikipedia. But it's very long. So it's like you can't really tell people what happened within 3 sentences, right? So there's a GOV.TW project that turns any Wikipedia page into a timeline representation. So you can scroll through all the important dates of what happened, and this data is from Wikipedia. So that's the power of open content. You can make use of it in some creative ways. And, right, scroll through. And you can link to individual content. Another example is the TV license. How many of you were there? Okay, so this crazy idea of like openly creating content also inspired people to say, okay, can we not make maps like Wikipedia? So this is the OpenStreetMap project that we talked about. And this flashing thing on the Earth is the mapping data being edited by someone. By mapping data, I mean roads or building or landscape or things like that. But the Wikipedia is just the content, text content, but mapping is the actual data. So the data, with the actual data, you can do a lot of creative things like, here's an example for a wheelchair map. So in Hong Kong, which subway exit are wheelchair friendly? You can use it to see. Also, you can plot the highway with speed limit in line. So there are about hundreds of different ways of using mapping data on OpenStreetMap, based on OpenStreetMap data, and that's also the power of openly licensed data. So when we talk about open data, essentially Wikipedia and OpenStreetMap are a kind of crowd-contributed open data. But when we talk about open data nowadays, usually we mean government open data. And because government want to release more information to the people to show their commitment of transparency. And transparency is the prerequisite for participation. So you have to have all the data available for people to see, to discuss, and then people can participate.